What's up everybody, my name is Matt and today we're going to be reviewing the Phoenix Hmd. Alright, so the Phoenix Hmd, let's go over a couple of things. It's $60. It's a flat piece sheet metal with no ventilation to help make sure that ash doesn't go into your bowl. And you may be wondering, well, that hole, what about that? Well, that is actually a funnel design right there. So there is a little bit of heat drawing in, but not that much. I'm gonna say that for the most part, the most of the heat you're getting is from the flat part of the plate. You know, I've been really racking my head about this review because I want to give it the absolute most detailed possible review that I can give you. Because I think that it's important to make a couple of very detailed notes about this if you're looking to purchase this, okay? I'm going to be very blunt in this. I'm going to be very truthful in this. I always try to make sure that in all of my reviews I'm honest and I'm to the point, but with this one I want to make a couple of points within a pointception, if you would. So the first and foremost point that I'm going to make with this absolutely immediately is you don't need to buy this. Yeah, that is the first point that I'm going to make in this review, is you don't need to buy this. Now you may be wondering, what do I mean by that? Well, let me say this first. This is the Apple on Top Provost. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to buy this. This is going to help you in your smoking journey, both as an experience, as a learning tool. This is something I think you need to buy. I would give this a huge recommendation for the necessity of it. Now, after you own this, then you already own it. Then, if you're like me, once you have a good hookah, once you have a good bowl, once you have the Apple on Top Provost, once you have a good hose, you're not just buying these things because you need them. You're buying these things because you're adding and building a collection. So, just like the Mason bowl, which once again, you don't need this bowl, but god dang, do you love it when you own it. And I do love it, and I do use it all the time. But you don't need this bowl, you just want this bowl. You don't need this, but I'm gonna tell you why you may want this. So it makes sense that I'm actually gonna be talking a lot about the Mason bowl when in context towards the Phoenix Hmd. And the reason why is because this is a shallower bowl. The way that a shallow bowl works is that there's, not a lot of depth going into the actual bowl itself. Now, another bowl that I'm going to reference at this point is this beautiful brand new Sahara Smoke Stone Vortex bowl, but it is, while being shallower than some of my bowls that I own, it is still a little bit deeper in comparison to something like the Mason bowl. Now, the shallowness of the Mason bowl actually helps out a lot when it comes to the Phoenix Hmd sitting inside of it, because of this piece down right there. See that? How it just kind of like protrudes underneath it? That is actually going to make it so that the outside sits on this lipped part of the Mason bowl, and then this bottom part right here is actually going to be touching and cooking your tobacco. I'll be totally honest, when it comes to the Phoenix Hmd, while I have tried it with the Sahara Smoke Stone Vortex bowl, the Goodfella V4 bowl, I've even tried it with my HC Micro Black Edition bowl. My favorite bowl, and the bowl that I mainly use it with, is in fact the Mason bowl. This is the bowl that I'm going to be using this device for. I'm not going to use this on the other bowls that I own. And I'm not going to say that it's only because it has a lipped end right here, but I'm going to say that probably helps a little bit. So if you have a lip alpaca or a Ferris bowl, or I think some of the stone bowls have it as well, whatever other bowls might have a lipped area as well, I think that this Phoenix Hmd is going to work best with that. I don't know because I don't have any other ones to test out. I can tell you right now that the Stone Sahara Smoke Vortex bowl, while it doesn't exactly have a lip part to it, it does fit very nicely inside of it, and it has room for this to go in it. So it fits very nicely. I don't know the exact diameters when compared to the, what's it called, the Lotus, for instance, but I can tell you that something like my Goodfella V4, it actually goes inside of it instead of sitting on the outside of it. So I'm not a big fan of using it with this because I feel like it gets a little bit too much contact and it kind of burns a little bit, kind of quickly. Something like the HC Black Edition, it actually does sit on the outside of it, and I have used it. I don't mind it. This is pretty shallow as well, so I do like it with it, but by far the bowl that I enjoy to use the Phoenix Hmd with the most is this mason bowl. And we are going to go ahead and load up some tobacco, and we're going to use the Phoenix Hmd and see what we can talk about. I'm going to show you a couple other packs that I've done in pictures, a couple video that I did of this one right here. In fact, yeah, we're gonna do a couple of things all coming up. So stick around, watch this montage of footage and videos and such, and yeah, meet you right around the corner. So let me run you through how I have the Phoenix set up right now. The lid is on, there are 4 coals inside of it, and I let it heat up. Now because the Phoenix does take a little bit more time to heat up than, I don't know if it takes more time than a regular HMD, considering I don't have a Lotus, for instance, or an Ignis, or any of those, but I can tell you that this piece alone will take longer to heat up than when I use my Provos. So what I'll do is I'll put it on, and then I'll go and get my hose, then I'll go and place it where it needs to be. I'll take my time to get stuff situated and ready to go, so that way by the time I'm ready to start smoking, it's already starting to smoke. So it's starting to smoke now. And because I know I have 4 coals sitting on top of Alfacher inside of a metal cage, as soon as it gets hot, I'm now gonna take off the lid, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put one of the coals on the ashtray. Which comes to one of the things that is a criticism about it. How do you take off the top of the lid? This is what I've chosen to do. I just put the tongs for the 2 top parts of it, and I use it to grip it, and then I'm able to let go of it. It will stick sometimes a teeny tiny bit, but not too big of a deal. Then I'm gonna take the 1 coal out, set it on the ashtray, and I'm gonna put the lid back on it, but I'm just gonna kind of put it on it at an angle so it's not actually fully on it. You do gotta be careful because it is possible to get your lid stuck in it, and then you're done. You're not touching that lid for the rest of the session. I've had a session completely killed because I started it with 4, put the lid on it, it got stuck. Couldn't smoke it because it got too hot and started to burn almost instantly. So there are those kinds of small problems with it. There are workarounds around it. There are ways to fix them. There are ways to get past them, but they are things that I feel need to be noted. There's one thing that I think would be a huge improvement on the Phoenix, and it would be a handle directly on top of the lid itself, so that you're able to just grab the top of it and then drop it into place and then lift it up. That would be the way that I would personally fix it, and I think would fix a lot of that issue when it comes to the lid problems of it. It gets hot, it produces heat. It seems to last a good amount of time for the coals that are in it, but you need to have enough heat within it to make sure that the unit itself stays optimally hot enough. That's why I go with 4 coals with it. Now this is more coals than I'm going to use for the Provos. It's more coals, not that I would use for tinfoil, though I don't usually go straight tinfoil anymore, but it is more coals than I usually will use for an entire session. I don't mind using it all the time when I'm smoking with my mason bowl because of the amount of time that I'm going to be smoking with the mason bowl anyways. The mason bowl allows that heat to retain. It allows it to last longer. That's why, once again, I believe that the mason bowl, or at least these stone type bowls, are going to be the very best possible ways to use it. Now, As you saw, I'm smoking Alfacher in this one. Normally, I've been smoking a lot of Tangiers. I don't have a lot of Tangiers flavors right now, so I opted not to smoke it because I've been smoking a lot of the same of the Tangier flavor that I have, which is the passion fruit, and I mix it with a little bit of mint and stuff like that. But I'm done smoking passion fruit for at least a little while. Though this has been my optimal and most enjoyable way to use this. I've used it with Trifecta, I've used it with Lavu, I've used it with, I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff, Alpha Kama. So I have used it with multiple things. I enjoy it most with Tangiers because of the way that it heats up, retains heat, and then slowly dies out with heat as well. Plus, I can use the 4 coals for the majority of the session, and the heat inside of it will actually work very well when I'm using the titaniums, for instance. The Phoenix Hmd is interesting because it is in so many ways similar to something like the Mason Bowl. It is not a necessity, it is not something you have to rush out and buy, but it is something that when you own these other pieces of hookah, accessories, you want to add it to your collection, and there is a place for it and there is a reason to use it. It is going to come down to a couple of small things, and watch other reviews and really hear the detailed things that people like Zach at Strictly Shisha, if he has one, is going to say. Adrian at Pipe Dream is going to be talking about. Rob at Dude Where's My Hookah, because it is going to rely on so many small facets. There's a lot of people that have already picked it up. If you're part of the Facebook groups, you're going to be hearing a lot of things about it immediately. Wait for some of these reviews if you're on the fence and hear what they have to say. $60 is not a cheap amount of money to drop on something where people are having issues and are having problems. There are workarounds, there are ways to fix it, but there are certain things that you need to know about it. When it comes to this, I'm going to say certain things that I said about the Mason Bowl review when I first got it. If you give a master painter a beginner's paintbrush, he's still going to be able to paint a masterpiece. But if you give a beginner a master paintbrush, he's not going to be able to paint a masterpiece. There is things about this that you have to yourself know about hookah. You need to know about packing. You need to know about heat management. You need to know about different breathability of the leaves for different brands of tobacco. Those things are going to help you enjoy this and get the most out of it. Is it a master's tool? Not really a master's tool, but it is beneficial to have the most knowledge possible before going in and using it. I've had good bowls with this. I've had terrible bowls with this. I have tweaked my own packing. I have tweaked my own abilities to be able to use this to its full extent. I like it, I enjoy it, I use it. I will be using it with my Mason Bowl. It's something that I think pairs really nicely with it, smokes very well with it, and it's something that is a good aesthetically pleasing piece on top of a good aesthetically pleasing bowl, such as the Mason Bowl. So it goes together really nicely. So yeah, those are where I fall on it. That's what I think about it. If you own an Apple on Top Provost, I think that this is a good next thing to buy. I'm not going to say it in comparison to the other HMDs because I don't own them, and I'm not going to be able to immediately say like you should get this over that or you should get that over this. I am saying that if you own these other pieces of hardware, this is something that you can add on to your collection and into your rotation and be happy that you did. There are some caveats to know about, such as the lid getting stuck. So that's the other thing is I feel like in later improvements of this, we are going to see those sorts of improvements. We are going to see a fix to the lid. We are going to see fixes here and there. So it may be more beneficial to wait for a version 2.0 to get it. But as collectors, I know what you're thinking. If there's going to be a version 2.0, I want to own version 1.0. That's the way I view a lot of things when it comes to collecting. You know, my Gen 1 Alien funnel is something that I love because it's the first gen. Gen 1 80 feet bowl, something that I love because it's the first gen. So when you have the ability to get in early enough to buy these early versions of it, it goes really nicely into a collection. So while if a version 2.0 did come out and I would use the version 2.0 more often, I would be happy that I owned version 1.0 as well. And as a collector, I'm sure you understand what I mean by that. Those are my detailed thoughts of the Phoenix Hmd. This is one of the more in-depth videos that I've done, and it's a very honest video with you guys. I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, what you think is about this. Are you excited for it? Are you planning on picking one up? Are you going to wait until you hear a little bit more information? Are you going to wait until there's a possibility of a version 2.0? I know nothing if there's going to be, mind you, but there is always the possibility. Let me know in the comments your opinions and your thoughts. Also, make sure to check out the AM Hookah podcast. Search AM Hookah on YouTube or check down below in the description for a link to it. We're going to be talking more about this as we just go on about our podcasting ways. Me and Adrian from Pipe Dream Hookah are the ones that run the AM Hookah podcast. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure to stick around for the next one. Hit that sub, hit the bell, share, like, comment, all that kind of fun stuff. Until next time, guys, keep on smoking.